The room was silent yet tense as the judge leaned forward and delivered a stern rebuke to actress Blake. Lively, the words carried weight and authority, echoing through the courtroom, and leaving no doubt that this was a serious matter. The accusation on the table was one that many find deeply troubling, doxing opponents in a legal battle for an actress celebrated for her charm and elegance. This moment stood in sharp contrast to the carefully curated image fans have known for years. For more than a decade, Blake Lively has been one of Hollywood's most admired stars, rising to fame through television and later becoming a sought after leading lady in major films. She cultivated an image of great sophistication and relatability. Audiences adored her red carpet appearances, while fashion magazines frequently placed her at the top of best dressed lists. Beyond the glitz and glamour, she was known for being a loving wife to actor Ryan Reynolds and a devoted mother to their children. This wholesome image was part of what made the recent allegations so shocking. Fans were accustomed to seeing Blake in carefully planned public moments, smiling in interviews or posting light-hearted updates on social media. The idea that she could be involved in something as serious as revealing private information about others in a legal dispute seemed almost unthinkable. Yet in the world of celebrity fame can be a double-edged sword, and even the brightest stars can find themselves in the shadows of controversy. The tension did not erupt overnight. It had been building slowly over weeks and months as legal disputes and public disagreements began to swirl around Blake Lively. Her name had surfaced in connection with a conflict involving online creators and social media commentators. What at first appeared to be a minor disagreement escalated into something much larger as accusations of targeted harassment and privacy violations began to circulate. According to reports, several individuals claimed that their personal details, including addresses and contact information, had been exposed in ways that made them feel unsafe. While no one expected to see such a serious claim tied to a high-profile actress, the story quickly took hold in online discussions. The term doxing became a frequent keyword in articles and social media posts connected to her name, and the topic spread rapidly across multiple platforms. Behind the scenes, lawyers were already hard at work gathering evidence and shaping their arguments. The legal teams involved knew that proving or disproving such allegations would be complicated. Digital evidence often requires a deep dive into timeline, screenshots, and server records, and it can take time to assemble a clear picture. In this case, the stakes were especially high because the outcome could influence both the court of law and the court of public opinion. What made matters even more intense was the nature of the online response. Public figures have faced criticism before, but the pace at which these claims spread was faster than usual. A single tweet or video could be shared thousands of times in hours, amplifying the controversy and locking the incident into trending topics around the world. Some observers began to wonder whether the legal dispute itself was driving the online attention, or if online attention was pushing the legal dispute forward. The relationship between media coverage and court proceedings can be complicated, and in celebrity cases they often feed into each other, creating a loop that is hard to break. Once a narrative takes hold, it can be difficult to shift public reception. Even if new evidence emerges later, the courtroom was packed with lawyers, journalists, and curious onlookers who had followed every twist in the case. The air was heavy with anticipation as Blake Lively sat beside her legal team, poised, yet clearly aware that the day ahead could bring challenging moments. The judge, a stern and respected figure known for directness, scanned the document before them and then looked up. The silence was almost suffocating. When the judge began to speak, the tone was measured but firm. The words carried authority and precision, and each sentence seemed to land with more weight than the last. The judge made it clear that in their view, the sharing of private details belonging to opponents in a legal dispute could not be taken lightly. It was a matter of fairness, privacy, and respect for the legal process. While the judge did not declare a final ruling on guilt at that moment, the reprimand itself was unmistakable for Blake Lively. This was a moment unlike any other in her career. She had faced critical film reviews and online gossip before, but never had she been publicly called out in such a formal and unyielding setting. The judge emphasized that legal disputes must be fought on the merits of evidence and argument, not through actions that could be seen as intimidation or exposure of personal data. The reaction inside the courtroom was mixed. Some attendees glanced at one another with raised eyebrows. Others scribbled furiously in notepads, capturing each detail for the articles they would publish within hours. Attention was not just about the words spoken, but about the underlying implications if the court believed there was even a possibility that someone in her position had engaged in such behavior. It could cast a long shadow over the rest of the proceedings. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but reporters wasted no time in relaying descriptions of her expression and demeanor. Social media users began piecing together their own interpretations from these second-hand accounts. Some saw a woman unfairly targeted by relentless scrutiny. Others believed this was a long overdue reckoning for actions that crossed ethical lines. The truth, as often happens in complex cases, was still unfolding. The legal world has its own rhythm and language, and when a judge issues a reprimand, it carries more than just emotional impact. It can serve as a warning signal to all parties involved that certain behavior will not be tolerated. In the case of Blake Lively, the accusations of doxing touched on both legal and ethical boundaries, and that combination can be dangerous for anyone, especially a public figure. From a legal standpoint, doxing can fall under multiple categories. Depending on jurisdiction, it might be viewed as harassment, a privacy violation, or even a form of intimidation. If proven in court, it could result in fines, court orders, or other penalties. The more serious concern for someone in Blake's position is how such a finding could influence related cases or negotiations. Judges and opposing counsel will always remember moments where boundaries were pushed too far. Lawyers commenting on the case in interviews and online forums noted that while a reprimand is not the same as a conviction, it can shift the balance in a trial. A judge who has publicly expressed concern about a party's behavior may be less forgiving if similar issues arise later. This means Blake's team would have to be especially careful moving forward, ensuring that every step they take stays within the strict limits of the law and courtroom procedure. Another layer of risk comes from the possibility of civil suits. Even if the criminal or direct legal consequences are minimal, those who feel harmed by the alleged doxing could pursue damages in a separate action. This is a common strategy in high-profile disputes because of publicity can encourage more claims and increase settlement pressures for celebrities. This can quickly snowball, turning one dispute into multiple legal battles. Public perception also plays a role in shaping legal outcomes. While judges are sworn to remain impartial, they are not immune to the cultural context in which a case unfolds. If public opinion tilts strongly in one direction, it can create indirect pressure on everyone involved. A celebrity facing widespread criticism may find that every decision in court becomes magnified, and every small setback feels more damaging than it otherwise might. For Blake, the reprimand marked a shift in the tone of the proceedings. It was no longer just about who had the stronger legal arguments. It was now also about who could demonstrate the most discipline and respect for the court. This shift meant her legal strategy would likely need to adapt, focusing not only on defending against the accusations, but also on repairing any damage to her credibility in the eyes of the judge and the public. The moment news broke that a judge had reprimanded Blake Lively for alleged doxing, the story spread like wildfire across social media platforms. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube were filled with post videos and threads dissecting every available detail. Fans and critics alike began weighing and creating a storm of opinions and theories that only added more fuel to the fire. Some users posted lengthy threads defending Blake, arguing that the accusations were exaggerated or taken out of context. They pointed out her long history of charitable work and positive public image, claiming that such a person would never intentionally harm someone. Others, however, saw the judge's reprimand as proof that the allegations had weight. These users often cited past celebrity scandals as examples of how even the most beloved stars can have serious lapses in judgment. Influencers and commentary channels quickly joined the conversation. Many created reaction videos analyzing the courtroom descriptions that had been posted by reporters. Some videos went viral, racking up hundreds of thousands of views in just a day, and further amplifying the story. Certain hashtags began trending, pushing the case into the wider public consciousness and ensuring it would remain a hot topic for days, if not weeks. For Blake, the impact of the social media wave was significant. Even those who were not following the case closely were now seeing short clips and memes referencing her situation. Social media thrives on simplified narratives, and in this environment, complex legal disputes often get boiled down to catchy phrases and dramatic visuals. The risk in such a setting is that public opinion can harden quickly, making it difficult for new facts or clarifications to change the overall narrative. News outlets noticed engagement and began publishing more articles on the subject. This created a feedback loop where online attention drove media coverage, and media coverage drove more online attention. The result was a relentless news cycle that left little room for the story to cool down. In some cases, outlets reached out to legal experts to explain the potential consequences of the reprimand, adding yet another layer to the public discussion. At the same time, private individuals involved in the case reportedly began receiving increased online attention themselves. Some claimed they had been harassed by strangers, while others used the moment to share their own perspectives on what had happened. This secondary wave of attention showed how quickly a single courtroom exchange could ripple outward, affecting not just essential figures, but everyone connected to the case. While the public reaction to the judge's reprimand was loud and immediate, the response inside the entertainment industry was more controlled, yet no less significant. Hollywood is a place where reputation and relationships often determine which doors remain open and which quietly close for Blake Lively. The allegations of doxing created an uneasy situation for studios, producers, and potential collaborators. Industry insiders often prefer to avoid commenting publicly on controversies involving major stars, but behind closed doors, conversations were taking place. Some executives reportedly expressed concern about how the ongoing case might affect the marketing of future projects. A high-profile star facing negative headlines can be a risk, especially for large-budget films where box office success depends on positive public sentiment. Publicists and brand managers also paid close attention to the unfolding events. Blake had built a strong brand image over the years, often partnering with fashion houses, beauty companies, and charitable organizations. These partnerships rely on trust and mutual benefit, and a scandal, even one still being contested in court, can make sponsors cautious. A single misstep in public relations can lead to pause campaigns or reconsider contracts. Co-stars and directors who had worked with Blake in the past found themselves in delicate positions. Some were asked about the case in interviews and had to navigate their responses carefully. A supportive comment could be interpreted as dismissing the seriousness of the allegations, while a critical remark could be seen as taking sides. In an unresolved legal matter, most opted for neutral statements, emphasizing their respect for the legal process and declining to speculate. At the same time, some in the industry privately expressed hope that Blake could weather the storm. They pointed out that Hollywood has seen many stars rebound from controversy, provided they handle the aftermath skillfully and show accountability when necessary. However, others were less optimistic, suggesting that the combination of legal trouble and intense online backlash could leave a lasting mark. The situation also sparked broader discussions about privacy and conduct in the digital age within entertainment circles. The case was seen as a cautionary tale about how easily personal information can be weaponized and how quickly accusations can spiral into full-blown public